It's appalling, it's disgusting, it's sickening, and it's even worse when nothing is being done about it.
Attorneys and some families reacting to staggering details that we uncovered in our year-long investigation into Georgia police shootings. We looked at every deadly case in the past 5 years and found nearly half were unarmed, shot in the back, or both, and not one officer's been charged. Investigative reporter Jody Fleischer here now with how we've uncovered these trends.
Justin, we're talking about data no one else has tracked, so we and our news partners at the AJC spent a year digging through all of the case files, 184 of them, to answer key questions. Are blacks really targeted more often? Is the officer's life always in danger? And is it possible that every single one of these shootings was really justified?
I just kind of been there. Maybe it was something I could have done. Maybe this would not have happened.
Rosa Hampton's grief over losing her son Maurice is still just as raw as it was in June 2011 when he was shot by an Atlanta police officer.
Shot in the back, no weapon.
It's not as unusual as you might think. Records show 90 Georgians killed by police in the last 5 years were either unarmed, shot in the back, or both. That's nearly half of all 184 cases.
I have a problem with that because I just don't see the threat.
Attorney Max Richardson represented the Hampton family in a federal lawsuit.
It pierced my soul to lose a case like that, knowing what the family had to go through.
Maurice had no license and ran a stop sign. Then he ran from his van when the officer pulled him over. They tussled at the bottom of a hill. The only witness says Maurice looked like he was cuffed, but then broke away from the officer and ran again. That's when he was shot in the back. The absence of gunpowder suggests it was not close range.
The officer twisted the facts entirely in another direction.
Officer Thomas Atzert told a grand jury he used his pepper spray and baton, but that Maurice grabbed both away and began hitting him. His lawyer says the officer was in a fight for his life.
He pushed away and fired one shot to prevent him from turning around with a deadly weapon in his hand.
But prosecutors didn't believe that and tried to indict the officer for false statements, violating his oath, and murdering Maurice Hampton.
20 people who never met Officer Atzert listened to 19 hours of testimony and made a determination that Officer Atzert was telling the truth.
We obtained these never-released photos which show the officer's baton in Maurice's hand, but prosecutors thought the baton was planted and that Maurice may have been handcuffed before he was shot. Injuries to his teeth and face suggest he fell forward without using his hands to break his fall. One arm was cuffed when backup officers arrived, but Atzert said he did that after the shooting.
It was very concerning to me that we were looking at accusing everyone of a conspiracy when in fact there was evidence to support Officer Atzert's statement.
Grand jurors voted to clear the officer. In all 184 Georgia cases, not one officer has faced criminal charges.
They know that they can get away with it. They know all they got to say is, I was in fear for my life.
Police files, autopsies, and court records all paint a picture of the lives lost. 69 were shot in their own home or that of a loved one. 1 in 4 had been treated for mental illness.
I would be devastated if nothing resulted from this because we're not getting the job done. We're not getting the true facts.
Atzert's attorney says the officer's fear of losing his own life and the grief of taking someone else's made this the worst day of the officer's life and that he's still too distraught to talk about it. Plus, there is some indication the district attorney may try again for an indictment.
Okay, so Jody, every time we hear about another one of these shootings, the topic of race comes up. What did the numbers show in all of this?
It does, and that was actually really interesting. Out of the 184 shootings we examined, 89 of those killed were black, 87 were white. Percentage-wise, that's about half and half. Whites outnumber blacks in Georgia, though, by about 2 to 1. So they are more likely, blacks are more likely to be killed by police. Now, we've broken down those details and many more of the specifics on our website at WSB-TV.com.
Wow.